Hey, you're listening to the Coffee O'Clock podcast, the show that brings you joy and inspiration, with special guests from all around the world who have an amazing story and expertise to evolve your personal and professional life. I am your host, Burcu Onaranet, the founder of Joy Marketing and Coaching. Make sure you grab your coffee and get ready to explore new ideas. Let's get started. Hello, everyone. Coffee O'Clock. Today, I have Joseph Lombardi. And yes, we are doing cheers. We are here to talk about the wealth blueprint, stories of strength and security. Joseph is the owner at Ironhawk Financial, and we will go through his story and how he helped you about your wealth. This is a very rich episode. I'm excited. Welcome, Joseph. How are you? Joseph, how
I'm
are you?
doing great. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for bringing your energy and expertise. I'm excited to get in. I only said your title, but I want to know more about you and my audience too. Can you tell a little bit of yourself?
Sure. I'm the owner and founder of Ironhawk Financial. I've been in business for 21 years. I've won 27 industry awards. I've been featured in International Business Times, Business Insider, Market Insider, The Daily
Wow.
Caller. I was on the cover of the top 40 advisors in the country under 40 years
Look
old through
at
100
you.
INC. I was also on the cover of the Who's Who in Building and Construction. I published, written and published 3 books. Being Your Own Bank, There's a Better Way Than a 401k, Long-Term Care Without Long-Term Pain, 5-star rated on Google, A+ rated on the Better Business Bureau, thousands of clients nationwide in the United States, and billions of dollars of protection and rollovers in my career.
Wow, I'm glad I asked. Look at you. I want to congratulate you and acknowledge your huge achievements. I am even more excited to get into our topic right now, and probably my audience too, whenever they listen or watch this episode. So get ready, pick up your pen, paper, and coffee to take some notes and learn from Joseph. So I want to ask you, I know finance is kind of common in men's world. When I meet like out of 8 people, they work in finance. I mean, my husband is in finance too. So like, how did you get into it? I'm curious, like what brought your attention to finance?
So I was actually supposed to be in construction. My father owned JV Lombardi Builders. After my parents got divorced at 4 years old, we were very, very poor. I lived in an attic with no running water, ate noodles and eggs with ketchup and hamburger helper with no meat. And, I was the poor fat kid at a, rich town in Connecticut. And so my dad was building his business and it was starting to really grow. And so we moved to Fairfield, which is an even richer town than the Trumbull, Connecticut, where I was at. And so I was a demo guy with my dad at like 10 years old, 12 years old, working with my dad. Then he started going to super high-end houses. We're talking like Tom Brady style houses in Greenwich, Connecticut. It's one of the richest zip codes in the country. And so we go to check a job, and he's like, "Hey, go play with the owner's son while I price out the job." So I go downstairs in an elevator down to like a baseball field in the ground in the basement of this mansion, like mega mansion. And I was like, "This is awesome." So, I had fun playing with the owner's son. I get back into the truck and I go, "Dad, what does that guy do?" And he says he works on Wall Street. So since I was like 11 years old, I've been wanting to work on Wall Street, but having no idea what it meant, right?
Mhm.
And then you fast forward about 7 years later, I was supposed to take over my dad's company, and he ended up falling 3 stories off a ladder, a bone in his foot disintegrated, and he lost everything. So, and when that happened, I just turned 15 years old, and I had a sister that was 2 pounds 7 ounces food alcohol syndrome because my ex stepmom drank vanilla extract and Listerine during pregnancy and almost killed her. So at this point,
Wow.
she's 1, I'm 15. None of us are 18 years old. The stepmom's in rehab. My dad's in the hospital. So I had to raise her, So that really affected, my quality of life as a sophomore in high school. I had to drop out of football, track, and basketball. I still stayed in school, but I used to work at a daycare after school where she was at just to generate some money. Then you fast forward to I'm about 17 years old, 18 years old. I'm bartending and waitering at a very high-end Japanese restaurant called Sakura. It's in Westport, Connecticut. And the CEO of Northwestern Mutual comes in and he was like, it's the best service I ever had. What are you doing? What are you studying? I said, I'm studying finance and economics. And he was like, would you want to come work for me? So right when I was, 18, I got into the business and I just started learning. So I was going to school full time. I was bartending and waitering full time. And then I was learning and growing, my investment practice. So it was almost like everything in my life lined up where I was on God's path to do what, he bred me or built me or put me here to do. So it was a calling. It's for me, even though I'm do really well, I make a ton of money. It's really the passion of helping people is really what keeps me going because having to live through my dad getting disabled and him not being prepared, living through my mother dying at 52 years old, supposed to live from alcoholism with no life insurance, watching my grandmother have a stroke, losing $4.2 million to Ludlow Nursing Home in Connecticut. She had no long-term care. It took my grandfather 40 years to build, was stolen by a nursing home in the state. So, like, when you live the mismanagement and poor planning, it really makes you see that a lot of people are unprepared for when things come because we all believe we have this false belief we are going to live forever. And when we don't do
Mhm.
these plannings and we don't do the foundational plannings, it's not fun, it's not exciting. But if we, nobody wants to admit they have a mortality or a morbidity. Um, but when you do those plannings, you can protect not only yourself, but the people you love from a financial hardship while they're going through an emotional hardship.
Very true. Wow. What a story. And it's so true. We think we never get old and we think we never face any challenges in life until something happens. Until we lose someone or until we lose our health, until we lose our wealth. So it's always great to have a plan and create a vision and some backup plan. And if we talk about the wealth blueprint, like what do you do to really help people to create a structure, or like how exactly you work with people? I am curious.
So the wealth blueprint is basically number one is to get out of debt. Negative amortization of interest is cancer to your future profitability. So you have to get out of debt. And unfortunately, in the United States, we live in a debt consumption society. They're giving student loans to children that are barely turning 18, $250,000. Here, go to this college, get indoctrinated. You're not going to learn much unless you're actually going to be a doctor or an engineer or a lawyer or, something like that. 90% of kids don't even use their degree and they come out at 23 years old after this $250,000 party where there was
Mhm.
kegs and alcohol and sex and then they're like, what do I do at 22? And then now our economy it isn't as great as it was. So these children are not only having to pay that 250,000 back, but it's plus interest. And if they don't have a path, they literally are enslaved by the government that was helping them because they can't go bankrupt, they can't get rid of it, So it's making sure that debt isn't in your life. And unfortunately, not only if you survived college debt, I went to a state school and paid my way through, but if you survive that, then you have what? Get a mortgage, debt, get a car note, debt, get a credit card, debt. So it's literally the system. I call it the United States of America Corporation because their job is just to steal half of everything you have with FICA, federal, state, Medicare, Social Security, property, sales. I mean, these are just all taxes that we are just taxed to death. and the government just steals our money, mismanages it, doesn't tell us what to do, like what they did with it, where it went. A lot of it gets stolen and from politicians, and so getting out of debt is number one. Number two is you have to have a budget. If you don't tell your dollars what to do, your dollars will tell you what to do, and none of it's
Mhm.
good. It's going to be boredom. I'm scrolling on TikTok at, 11 o'clock at night. Oh, I'm going to buy that. I'm going to buy that. There's 30 bucks. There's 50 bucks. Maybe it's a gambling problem. Maybe it's, I buy a car that I don't, can afford because I want to impress people that don't care about me. So it's this misconception of our society that, the debt consume, who cares about your future self, just enrich your present self. And they don't teach us a lot about your past self, your present self, and your future self. They don't teach us a lot about our spiritual health, our mental health, physical health, emotional health, financial health. And because the school system is owned by the said federal government that enslaves us, they're not going to give us the tools we need to be successful in any of those areas, especially they took God out of everything, out of the country. So if you really understand like what's going on, we're being attacked from so many different ways, and having to deal with that on top of being financially anxious while you're physically maybe not where you want to be because the food we eat here is poisoned, so then you feel bad about yourself, and then there's childhood trauma. It's so much deeper than just, oh, if I just buy this product I am so totally great.
Mhm.
There's strategies, there's long term, short term, midterm. There's what's your risk tolerance. It's so deep. When I look at myself as more as a financial therapist, right? So I'm trying to figure out where
Yeah.
the pain is. Where is it that is hurting you? What are you trying to accomplish, right? I meet a lot of people with 401ks, and I'm like, do you even know what a 401k means? And they're like, no. I'm like, do you know what a 12B1 fee, Class A share fund fee, money manager fee, annual account fee, mutual fund expense fee is? No. I said, you're investing in the worst long-term vessel, and it's brought to you by who? Again, the government. So people have a misconception to say, let me just do what everybody else does. Let me listen to the stranger on TV who's reading a script that's written by the ultra wealthy to program you. That's why they call it TV programming. And it's so deep. And when you take a look at money, what you have to do is you have to take control of your money. You have to know that this is God's gift, God gave me my talents. So yes, I'm a millionaire, but I wouldn't be one if I didn't have the right work ethic. I didn't have the right ability to plan for my future. I didn't know what different IRS codes are, right? You ask a guy who makes a lot of money what Derek Jeter's batting average was in 1999, or what his favorite football player statistics are, or how many points his fantasy team scored last week. He'll say, "Oh, 112, oh, my team is this, that." And then you ask, "Well, what are you doing for retirement?" Like, I don't know. I matched some 401k, and I'm like, "Where's your priorities, brother? Like, you may have a wife, you may have children. How are you going to protect them? Do you have disability insurance? What's that? Do you have long-term care? What is that? Do you even have life insurance? Oh, I have some group thing at work, one times my salary. Okay, you die, your wife gets $1 million, like 1x your salary. What is she gonna do year two and three and five and nine? You have a 3-year-old. You got to cover that kid for 21 years. So there's all these things that people don't plan. And it's so vitally to do that planning. And that's what I do with my clients is do that plan with them. And then I use IRS code. The number one strategy with my clients is using IRS code 7702. It's called IRS code section 7702. That is a code that allows my clients to build a liquid, sue-proof, can't lose, tax-free, averaging 15% tax-free rate of returns documented over the last 20 years, can lean the money out, has life, disability, long-term care, critical illness, critical ailment. So it's building that foundation before you get into real estate, before you get into business equity, before you get into stocks and crypto and risk, which is all the sexy stuff. You got to do the foundation planning, which everybody skips because it's not fun, or they just don't want to face their mortality, morbidity, or whatever the reason. A lot of people skip that, and that's why I have thousands of clients who I specialize in that to make sure that they're protected from the four things that are guaranteed to happen, which is if I live long and run out of money, if I die early, if I get disabled, I can't work anymore to provide an income for the people I love, and if I need someone to take care of me later stages of my life, am I going to give away everything I've earned to the state like my grandmother did, losing $4 million, or do I have a plan? And my one strategy covers all four of those things.
That's amazing. And you touched on very important things. Like one of them, I personally, I mean, my listeners are mostly entrepreneurs. They can relate to what I experienced when I first worked with a financial coach years ago. As an entrepreneur, I'm sure you have a lot of subscriptions too. Oh, this is for my invoice system. This is for my mails. This is for my, like a generate something. This is the membership that I got from here. This is this one, this one, this one. And then when I listed all of them, they were all like what you said, like $10, $30. I'm like, this is nothing, this is nothing, this is nothing. And when I saw everything that I was paying per month, I'm like, what is this? Like, this is not my priority. Like you said, I was like, oh my God, unsubscribe, unsubscribe, unsubscribe. So I am sure so many people don't know how much trash that they have. They are paying. Some people are lazy to just go through the unsubscribe process. And some of the tools are very hard to get away from. So once you get in, it's hard to cancel it, and it's hard to get away, move away from it. So my entrepreneur friends, please make sure to look at what you're spending, if you really need them or not. And the second thing you mentioned is really important that I need to work on it too for the future. When you're young, it's okay. And when you have loved ones, and when you are not able to work sometimes, or when you get old, like, you need to have a plan. You need to have a B plan. And 99% of people, I'm sure, I mean, more, but nobody does it. So how can you create awareness in your clients, or like people who are not your clients? Like, how can you create awareness in people?
Yeah, I mean, I'm building my business. I'm in all 50 states. I'm up to over 20 agents now working with me, and I'm spending hours with them weekly with the team, training them, motivating them, recruiting, trying to duplicate myself in the marketplace because my strategy works. 21 years, 5-star rated, A+ rated on the Better Business Bureau, zero complaints with thousands of clients. Nobody loses money. Everyone's happy with the way it's structured, using option contracts and calls and puts and all the things that nobody knows anything about, but using like sophisticated planning that the ultra wealthy use, the millionaires and billionaires of our country. They don't own 401ks or IRAs. They don't own, SEP Simple's pension deferred comps. They own either fixed index annuities, index universal life, whole life plans that are very complicated. And you got to make sure it's at the right carrier, at the right structure, with the right riders, with the right build. It's not just, oh, I'm gonna just buy this policy and I'm gonna be fine, right? So when you what I'm trying to do basically is grow. Like, I'm going down to the Bronx, New York on Wednesday. I'm shooting 6 15-second professional commercials that are going to be aired on Fox, on everything, trying to grow people's awareness on protecting them from the market collapse, protecting them from increased taxation, protecting them from liquidity issues if they need access to it. So it's just investing in yourself. I mean, I was a very heavy gambler. I'm on all the DraftKings commercials nationwide, in the United States, and I hung out with Kevin Hart. I played basketball with the Celtics and the Red Sox, and but what I realized is I wasn't those dollars I was throwing away. I could invest in myself. And when I did that, my income went from like a half a million a year to like $5 million, because the return when you invest in yourself, whether it's physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, or financially, has huge returns. more returns than even I can get you, you know, when you're investing in your future self with me. But it's important to invest in your present self to grow your future self, not splurge and spoil, you know, your present self for a quick high, right? So it's just what I'm trying to do is just grow, build the initiative. There's a lot of misinformation out there on certain strategies, and I just try to say the facts. You know, it's men lie, women lie, numbers don't lie. And when I show people the numbers and how it works, and where it says guaranteed, a lot of people don't believe me. They're like, "What are you talking about?" I'm like, "This is a 176-year-old A plus rated mutual company that survived the Civil War, World War One, the Great Depression, World War Two." Never needed outsourced money, never needed federal funds, never lost a dollar. This is where all the millionaires and billionaires put their money because it's $1 trillion industry that the average American doesn't know exists. So where are they getting the trillions of dollars from? It's not from the masses. It's from the ultra
Yeah.
rich. So I try to, you know, and unfortunately, like 70% of people can't even work with me because they have high interest debt. I'm not going to work with somebody if they have 29.99% credit cards because I can't guarantee you 29.99% on your return. You know, you're better off taking those dollars and paying out of debt. But a lot of those people, as soon as they pay off their credit cards, they're going to put it right back on. So there's just people that are just stuck in the matrix of debt. And it's like they
Mm,
just keep repeating the same thing. And no matter, you know, what you do, you're going to fail. And that stems to think of like the sports athletes, the rappers, the lottery winners, where they'll win $100 million, $300 million, and within 5 years, not only are they broke, they're bankrupt, which means they're negative. So they spent that 100 million plus another 5 million. You know, so it has to do with fixing what's wrong with you, knowing that you deserve money, knowing that you're good enough, loving yourself, and then when you can do that, you can then get rid of those, you know, negative actions and habits that you are choosing to do, and choose to do the right thing for the people you love most, hopefully yourself.
mm-hmm. Yes. Very true. I can't agree more. And you have, you are like a book. You are full of information. And that tells me that you are like in 25, 21 years in this industry. And all the things you've shown at the beginning of the show, your acknowledgements, and now you're going to shoot a commercial for Fox and other great channels. I really am glad that you are doing this because awareness is the first thing. And what you said, the last sentence, that people you love, but also you, like it starts with you. You need to love yourself first to not get into debts and bankrupt and other stuff. And that's so interesting. You said commercial, but also that's the reason too. The commercials, the social media, all the things you mentioned earlier, how people are, oh, I'm gonna get this, you know, so many brands out there, and people think, oh, if I have this specific mug from this brand, then I can show, and I am this new trend, and I need to have this bracelet from X brand. And all of these creates a nightmare after, because you're not planning, you don't have a plan for yourself. And that's, I mean, we can talk till the morning, till the night about this. I want to ask you, if people want to work with you, how does that work? Like, do you teach a strategy in one session, or do you work with them like a long term? How does that work?
So when my clients work with me, they get me forever. And then now I'm building a team because I'm very busy. I'm now working with very, very wealthy people, and that takes a lot of time with estate attorneys, irrevocable life insurance trusts, accountants. So I'm working with very sophisticated, high net worth individuals, but I'm still trying to help people. So if you want to get copies of my books, absolutely for free, they're sent in PDF. I will email them to you. Also, all my articles, there's 2 Forbes articles on my strategy called The Rich Person's Roth. written by a certified financial planner and written by a certified public accountant. If you want to get all of my information for free, because maybe you're not ready in your life, you're one of those 70% of people that are like, yeah, Joe, I can barely afford what's going on now with inflation. Just write an email to Joe, Joe, at Ironhawk Financial. That's iron like the metal, hawk like the bird, financial. That's Joe at ironhawkfinancial.com. And just put free books. I will send you my books, my articles, all the information 100% for free. You don't have to go on Amazon and buy it. Also, if you want to meet with me, you can go to www.ironhawkfinancial.com. Maybe you're a little older, you're getting ready for retirement, you want to roll your 401k or your IRA into an annuity, which is what I specialize in. I'll definitely work with you on that. Maybe you're looking to get some long-term care and trying to build some sort of tax-free diversification on your funds. So you can go to www.ironhawkfinancial.com. There's a contact us button, fill out your information. That email will be sent to my personal inbox, and I will reach out to you to schedule a Zoom meeting. And if I'm too busy, I'll send it to one of my vice presidents that are totally trained on my strategy in and out. They've been with me for years. But yeah, my goal is to try and help as many people as I can. A lot of people want to do this, or excuse me, they need to do this, but they don't want to do this. I'm telling you, find a reason. Don't wait until it's too late, till you're uninsurable, to, something happens to the people you love. Usually what happens is I'll meet with somebody, and then 3 years later, I get a panic call. Hey, Joe, I want to meet. And I'm like, uh-oh. And it's usually because they went to the doctor, they found a black spot on their lungs, they're diagnosed with cancer. And I'm like, yeah, I can't help you, man. You should have done it when you were healthy, brother. Or it's like, oh, my uncle felt, got disabled or needed care or died. Now I want to do it. And I'm like, oh, so you didn't believe. See, it was almost like a lot of people have this belief that they're just invincible. But it's definitely important to meet with somebody like me. And you can do that either through my website, ironhawkfinancial.com, or get my books by writing an email to joe@ironhawkfinancial.com.
Thank you. Thank you, Joseph, for doing what you're doing, because you could have just stay with the wealthy people and not help others who need the most. So you're doing it because you already are passionate on this, and your story tells a lot. That's why I always ask my guests, because if you look at people who do what they are good at, they always have the opposite story before. That was their fuel to do it, and that's their calling, like you said, to do what they need to do in this life. Lastly, I always ask my guests to leave our audience with one sentence. What would be your sentence to our audience?
Love your neighbors as thyself.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much for being my guest and sharing all your expertise and your great energy. Thank you, Joseph. Have a great day. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed this episode and now you can apply it to your life. If you did enjoy it, please subscribe to the Coffee O'Clock podcast on Apple and leave us a review. I would love to hear your thoughts. And if you feel like someone needs to listen to this episode, share it on your social media or text the link to that person to make an impact in their life. Be sure to tune in every Monday for new episodes. You can also watch the episodes and find more inspiration on my Instagram, which is at JOYYBURCU. Until next time, make sure to spend some time with you and stay with joy.